Nigerians, we are one people. God made us united in our diversity. We have one history. We have one destiny. We are Nigerians. Let's rise and
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to One Nation. My name is Nana Aisha Mahmudu, and as usual, it's good to have you join me. Today, in celebration of Nigeria at 60, we will be looking at Nigeria so far. We will be talking about Nigeria since the independence and how far we have come. To discuss this issue or this particular happening occurrence, we have in the studio a very able guest. His name is Professor Yahaya Tanko Baba. I would like to, at this point, welcome my guest to the One Nation studio. Good evening, sir. Okay, sir, speaking of Nigeria celebrating 60 years of independence, let me first get your opinion on this. How far do you think, in the course of days celebrating 60 years, how far do you think we've come? Do you think we have a cause to celebrate?
Yeah, 60 years of Nigeria's life of a nation is a long time. And we must also confess that Nigeria has come a very long way. The fact that Nigeria had actually survived as one indivisible nation or state or country is a thing of great joy. It's also worth celebrating. But we know Nigeria as a nation, through its history, 60 years now, have gone through turbulent times, challenging periods, and we have had causes to celebrate ourselves as a great nation, as a nation that has made its mark on the international stage, as a nation that is also celebrated globally, as a nation that paid its own dues, particularly when it comes to peacekeeping, missions, support for weaker nations, contributions to regional, sub-regional, and continental and global organizations. Nigeria is a household name in global affairs. And Nigeria is counted as one nation with enormous potentials. Potentials, if harnessed, will actually make Nigeria among top 20 economies and states of the world. But we are yet to harness our potentials. The endowments are enormous. You know, the human capital is visible. Nigerians have actually celebrated globally across different parts of the world as professionals. I mean, in the UK, in North America, in Canada, in Europe, in different parts of the world, Nigerian professionals have actually excelled. But back home, we are actually facing enormous challenges, enormous governance challenges, enormous challenges of economic mismanagement, enormous challenges of peaceful coexistence, enormous challenges of management of diversity. And these challenges have over time accumulated and undermined our potentials to grow, to become the greatest nation that we are actually speculated to be. But then, just like I said, we have fought civil war for 30 months, brutal civil war from 1967 to 1970. And since then, I think as a people, as a nation, I mean, as a country, we have learned the bitter lessons of war. And ever since, even though we have had pockets of complaints, of grievance, I mean, expression of grievances, of protest from different parts of the country, you know, clamoring for adjustments, for restructuring, and for justice. Yet again, no part of this country is ever contemplating fighting another national civil war. And that civil war we have fought taught us good lessons. And if not for the enormous governance challenges Nigeria is experiencing, even after return to democracy. We must mention that the military rule we had experience over the years that have been intermittently intervening in different democratic dispensations. It has actually undermined the country's effort to grow. We know how repressive military rule is, naturally by design, and such repression that is actually associated with military rule had actually affected even democratic form of governance. After return to democratic governance, corruption is still pervasive in the country. Bad governance is still very, very pervasive. And this, some are arguing, are mostly hangovers of military rule. Of course, the military did also well in some certain spheres of national life. They have rolled out a number of programs, a number of projects. They have also initiated policies that have helped keep the nation one strong, indivisible country. But as alien to governance and leadership, the military institution has also inflicted a lot of injuries on the nation. Management of diversity, recognition of the rights and the freedom and the liberty of the people, the suffocation of the feelings, the genuine feelings of different groups of nation had actually accumulated anger. And such anger now become overtly expressed immediately after return to civil, which makes governance and democratic process somewhat very difficult. But that is never an excuse. Yeah. Democracy is democracy. It's a framework. The institutions of governance ought to work well and deliver the nation for sustainable economic growth and development.
Okay, sir. Speaking of leadership and the military and democratic, and the military putting glitches in the process of the democracy, what can you say, as in what can leaders, our present leaders, learn from the past, the First and the Second Republic leaders of Nigeria? What do you think our present leaders can learn?
Quite a lot to be learned from the crop of leaders that we have produced in the First and the Second Republic. But we must mention also that the structuring of the Nigerian state by the colonial government is one that had actually created difficulties for the nation to manage its diversity very efficiently and effectively. And the creation of the regions, the constitutions, the different colonial constitutions that actually divided the nation and pits different parts of the nation against one another in an unhealthy competition for power and for access to national resources had made it very difficult for nations, for the leaders of the country to actually unite themselves in the spirit of nationhood, to actually tailor the resources of this country for sustainable economic growth and development. But of course, we must mention that the crop of leaders we have had in the First Republic were leaders that actually had Nigerian project in their own hearts. Even when it was seen to be leaders that were actually focused on their respective regions, the regions made up the Nigerian state. These leaders were selfless. These leaders were dedicated. These leaders were absolutely corrupt-free. These leaders were talented. These leaders were visionary. They have actually put in place frameworks, that actually evolved policies, programs, and blueprints that actually led to the growth and development of the Nigerian nation, particularly from the perspective that the regions they have governed. Foundation for the growth and development of that region, particularly of its welfareist policy and the policy of free education, free basic education, the policy that actually empowered the media and the people to actually feel free and exercise their liberty and also confront their leaders when they are wrong, and so on and so forth. Or you are also going to talk about the leaders in the northern part of the country, the likes of Ahmadu Bello, who actually laid the very basic foundation for the economic growth and development of the region. We talk about the Northern Nigeria development companies that house the Arewa hotels, the industries like the cement companies of northern Nigeria, the marketing boards, and so on and so forth. All of these are policies that are actually laid as foundation that actually instigated or stimulate growth and development of this region. When you talk about, we are going to talk about Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, who all of these leaders, for instance, let me give you an example of one sector of the society, the education sector. You know, in the eastern region, the University of Nigeria in Nsukka was established under the First Republic. Even when the University of Ibadan was established by the colonial government, Chief Obafemi Awolowo went ahead to establish the great University of Ife, now the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. So Ahmadu Bello established the Ahmadu Bello University there. Of all the universities we have today in Nigeria, these 3 or 4 universities are still the biggest universities. We are going to talk about the highways, the railways that were built by these leaders, the basic infrastructure that the Nigerian state, after 60 years, is still relying on for the economic growth and development of this nation. Some of this basic infrastructure are even becoming extremely difficult for the current and the present crop of leaders to maintain, not even to replicate or to expand on the existence this structure. So what we are going to say is that honesty and dedication to the people, those crop of leaders actually gave their time, gave their lives to the people they serve. They truly know and exemplified what public service is, because to them leadership is a trust and it's a burden. So the whole position of power in trust on behalf of the people, and all the resources under their care are tailored towards the development of the very particular set of people that they are actually constitutionally supposed to govern. So even though the military coup came in 1966, and that tragic military coup, that bloody military coup, is what actually sowed the seed of discord among different sections of the Nigerian society. It was a coup that was bloody and unsuccessful that has actually written the history of Nigeria upside down. You know, prominent Nigerian leaders and leading nationalists were actually killed in this coup, and regrettably from one section of the country, and a few from other section of the country, and that actually triggered another counter coup within the same year in July. You remember when the coup was executed, Ahmadu Bello, Tafawa Balewa, the Prime Minister of Nigeria, and the senior military officers like Zakari Yaume Molari, Akintola of the Western region that has an alliance with the Northern People's Congress, were all killed alongside other prominent politicians. Lieutenant General Johnson Thomas once assumed the leadership of Nigeria after the failed coup. Barely 6 months after his adoption to office, another group of young military officers, mainly from the northern part of the country, avenged the deaths of leading politicians in northern Nigeria. And Igwe Ironsi was killed. And Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon was actually named as the new Nigeria's head of state. You know, a northerner, a Christian minority from Kaduna or from Plateau State, whatever you call it, or whatever you want to say, assumed the leadership of the country. Yeah. And remember, Colonel Odumegu Ojukwu actually revolted against that choice and eventually declared the Biafra, and the civil war began in 1967. We fought that civil war for 30 years. Very brutal, loss of lives, destructions, devastating consequences for the Nigerian state. But then again, after the civil war, Gowon launched the 3 R's: reconciliation, reconstruction, and rehabilitation. And that was why policies like NYSC, was introduced to mend the fences, to actually reintegrate the Nigerian state. After 9 years, it was also overturned by other military officers led by General Murtala Muhammad on account of corruption, mismanagement of public funds, and so on.
So, sir, what I've gotten so far is that selflessness in leadership is key. Is key. So we'll take a break right now, sir, and then when we come back, we will be continuing our discussion. So stay with us.
Here we stand as a people with one song, with one voice. We're a nation undivided and poised. We will take a stand and build our land in faith. done. Here we are as a people with one heart for one cause. We're determined to rebuild and restore. Where freedom reigns and truth prevails. Our land where there's hope for us all. Our land where there's hope for us all. We'll defend our land. We believe in this nation, and we know we'll get there. We'll defend our land. We believe in Nigeria and the promise she holds, and that one day we'll shine like the sun. We're a great nation. Though we are many people, different tribes, different tongues, we're united in our strength and resolve to uphold the honor of our land.
Okay, if you're just joining us, we are discussing Nigeria at 60, and I'm here with a political analyst. His name is Professor Yahaya Tanko Baba, and we have been ongoing on this discussion. So if you're just joining us, stay with us because we're still on it. Sir, let me ask you this question next. Democracy in Nigeria, okay, it's been stable now for like 20 years. What do you say is the best practice of democracy in Nigeria?
Well, I think democracy largely is about people's popular participation and people's engagement and involvement in the management of their affairs. What has happened best for Nigerians throughout this period, about 21 or so years of the uninterrupted democratic rule, have been that people are given the opportunity to make a choice. Whether the outcome of the choice is the true reflection of their choice, that is another thing. But at least over a long period of time, after every 4 years, there are elections, national elections, and people are given the opportunity to make a choice between and among competing parties, individuals and even coalitions, to fill in the leadership positions at the local level, if you like, at the state level and at the national level. But we also have our challenges with election and electoral politics and electoral processes. But we have gone a very long way as far as the management of elections in Nigeria are concerned. You wouldn't want to talk about the 2003 general elections. We wouldn't want to also remind ourselves of what the tragedy that has happened in 2007 elections. We have seen great improvement in the 2011 elections. We have seen for the first time one of the major successes we can say about electoral politics and democracy in Nigeria is for the first time in Nigeria as an incumbent sitting government is voted out of office and peacefully in 2015. Courtesy of reforms that have actually taken place in the electoral process, in Nigeria's electoral process. So what we are going to say that democracy has actually come to stay in terms of processes and procedures. No one in Nigeria is contemplating return to military rule or to return to any autocratic form of government. But we still have a very, very long way to go. Democracy is adjudged to be the best framework of governance because it is assumed that democracy, better than any other framework of government, facilitates growth and development. This is because Democracy is the government that actually create framework for transparency, for accountability in the management of people's affairs. And this because power of government is not centralized, but is diffused among institutions of government. And these institutions are also structured in ways in which they check the excesses of one another. The executive, the legislature, the judiciary. You talk about the media, you talk about the civil society organization, the space, the freer space that is actually created by democracy for people to make their input in the way in which they are actually governed. This has actually created a framework or an opportunity for people to actually make their mark. Still a major challenge, you know, at national level, at state level. The worst that is happening is at local government level. Bad governance pervades. Corruption is widespread. Elected officials are not accountable to their people. Transparency, in spite of different laws and policies that are introduced to make governance process transparent.
Okay, so what do you think is the biggest achievement Nigeria has managed to get?
Yeah, the indivisibility of the country is the greatest achievement. The country, we have seen what has happened in Ethiopia, Eritrea, separating from Ethiopia, South Sudan. We have different countries that are actually fighting civil war, separatist movements, and so on and so forth. As complex as the Nigerian state is, as big as it is, Nigeria is still indivisible, and there is no any fear. So the indivisible nature of the Nigerian state is the greatest achievement of the 60 years after independence. We are still existing as one nation, and we are struggling to actually address our challenges. And in spite of the crisis of management of diversity, we are still struggling and to forge a national culture, a national front that will unite the Nigerian nation and actually advance our cause as a country and pursue our national objectives of economic growth, of sustainable human development, of a strong society that is enviable at the international stage. So that is our greatest achievement. We also have achieved a lot for sustaining democracy for over 2 decades. This is also a great achievement. Mali had just witnessed military coup that displaced a sitting in democracy. So military coup has not gone. It's not gone. So Nigeria is not contemplating any military coup. So it's a great achievement.
My God's grace. Just quickly, your last advice, your hope for Nigerians.
Yeah. So the future of Nigerian state lies in the Nigerian people, not the people that govern. The people that govern are a reflection of the people of the country. So as we operate under democracy, the people must take that advantage of democracy and actually advance positive attitudes that is capable of holding leaders accountable for their actions. Accountability and transparency are cardinal principles of good governance, and good governance is a prerequisite for socio-economic growth and development of any nation. And this lies squarely with the people, not government and its own institution. EFCC can't fight corruption alone, ICPC can't fight corruption, Code of Conduct can't fight corruption, the National Assembly cannot fight corruption, but the people of Nigeria can fight corruption and engender good governance and deliver the goods expected of democracy in the country.
Thank you, sir. On this note, I'd like to end the program here. I really do appreciate your contribution today, and I hope the next time we call on you, you will answer our call.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Okay, happy Independence Day, Nigeria. As you have listened to the discussion that I've been having with Professor Yahaya Tanko Baba, he said something that really stuck in my mind. He said the government is a reflection of the people. So we have to stop lying to ourselves as a country and thinking that we can just blame the government and not really look at ourselves and change. Because the truth is that if we change, whether it is we changing our attitude or we changing the way we select our leaders, our governments will change. So please take something away from this discussion and enjoy and celebrate with Nigeria. May we stay united. Thank you for joining me today on One Nation. I am Nana Aisha Mahmoud, and as usual, I'm wishing you a very good night.
We are Nigerians. We are one people.